Welcome to Introduction to Project Management. I've split this teachings into a couple of different videos, but we'll get started with this one. We're going to cover history, portfolios, agile versus waterfall, competencies, and down through methodologies. The principles of project management have actually been with us for pretty much the entire recorded history of human activity. There is clear evidence during the construction of the pyramids that there were calculations based on time, material, and labour. The archaeological evidence of the Great Wall of China shows the same thing. Project management as we know it today had its foundations in the first industrial revolution, with the separation of labour, the Protestant work ethic, and reductionism that went along with that. In the 19th and 20th century, we saw tools developed to support the execution of project management. Henry Gantt, who invented the Gantt chart, that's not hard to figure out. Frederick Winslow Taylor, who came up with time and motion studies looking at performance improvements. The big leap in project management was post-World War II. A lot of the methods that were developed during the World War in order to boost production to meet the demands of the war were then translated into this economic boom in the West that came after World War II. People like W. Edwards Deming and Crosby, who started the total quality movement. Critical path methods were developed since 1958, and then there came the Japanese influence, which was largely driven by Deming, and Toyota introducing things like with the Toyota manufacturing system, such as just-in-time, lean, and various different techniques that they brought on. So it's been around for a long time. We should know about it. Tom Peters, the author of a runaway bestseller called In Search of Excellence, refers to corporations as a collection of projects. And most corporations are indeed a collection of projects. We do the end-of-year financial reporting. It's a project. We do a marketing program. It's a project. We do IT. It's a project. Almost everything that occurs in a business can be seen to be a project of one sort or another. And the project management becomes a culture within the organizations. So the definition. A project is an individual or collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. You might question the carefully there when you think about some of the projects that get delivered, but anyway, that's how it's described. A piece of planned work or an activity that is finished over a period of time and intended to achieve a particular purpose. A project can be defined as a temporary endeavour undertaken to create a unique product or service. So there we've got two principles. A project is undertaken over a period of time for a particular outcome, and it's a temporary endeavour. It has a beginning and an end. Projects are different from other ongoing operations in an organisation because, unlike operations, projects have a definite beginning and an end. Is this always true? Is Gmail a project? Is it in maintenance mode? When will it finish? The painting of the Sydney Harbour Bridge never finishes. They finish painting one side and they start again. Do projects really have an end? Or do they only cease when the business stops functioning or stops doing that thing? You need to consider this because it will change how you look at what is a project. A portfolio is a collection of projects. A portfolio can include multiple programs and projects within a single program. Project management is about doing things right. Are we executing this project well? Is the project on time, on budget? Do the stakeholders know what they should be doing? Are we delivering the right outcomes? Are we doing things right? Is very much what project management is about. Portfolio management is about doing the right things. So we come back to the previous video on entrepreneurship, and we talked about getting things done with resources, or the entrepreneur does not consider resources to be a principal constraint, but corporate planning is all about resource allocation. Portfolio management is about allocating resources to the appropriate tasks. Are we doing the right things? Project management is about, are we doing things right? Now, you might argue that if your portfolio management has suggested we're going to do project A, and project management goes and executes that, but project A is the wrong thing to do, project management could deliver something that was unnecessary. So project management is not concerned with deciding necessarily, are we doing the right things? Mostly it's to do with, are we doing them properly? So why do we need to manage projects? Organizations with a solid project management infrastructure achieve an average of 20% improvements in productivity, customer satisfaction, cost reduction, and return on capital invested. That's a pretty substantive gain, particularly when we're talking significant sums of money. And as we can see by this chart, the larger the project, the more likely it is to be challenged or to fail. Small projects of less than $1 million are more likely to be a success. So the bigger the project, the more important it's going to be to have effective project management principles, techniques, and guidance. The fundamental, the iron triangle of a project is scope, resources, and schedule. The scope is the desired results, the product, the output. Do we know what it is that we want to do? Is what we want to do going to deliver a reasonable outcome? Have we got a decent schedule? Do we know when we're starting? Do we know what we're going to deliver and when we're going to deliver it? How are we going to measure those deliverables? And do we have the right resources available to do that? And the resources, amongst other things, include people, capital, technology, skills, markets. There's a lot of resources available. When does project management commence? This is very interesting. Most project management would commence after the award of the contract. It's about execution. What we know now is that the pre-contract phases, the procurement phases, are the times when the biggest scaled errors can be built in to the execution. The earlier in the life cycle that a mistake is made, or that an assumption that can't be applied is considered, the bigger the impact to the project going forward. So project management actually begins in the planning stages: pre-design, conceptual design, detailed design, procurement and award, and then delivery. There's really only two methodologies, two classes of methodologies: planned and agile. Now, planned methodologies, as they sound, are based on an assumption that if only we can plan better, the project will execute better. And these include waterfall, critical path, PMBOK, PRINCE. These are planned methodologies. And all of these methods are heavy upfront in the planning stages. As I said, the assumption is if only we plan better, the outcome will be better. The fundamental difference with Agile is that it's not plan-based. It's about breaking down the project into the smallest identifiable component and delivering only what you understand as you understand it. And there are various different Agile techniques. During the course of this unit, we're going to spend a bit of time on scaled Agile frameworks, which is a very popular methodology being applied to large projects. We'll also talk a bit more about change management and process-based methodologies, Lean, Kanban, Six Sigma. So, as I said, there's planned and there's Agile. And the planned have various different executions. The question you need to ask is, can you adequately plan for everything? Can you control everything? The UK government methodology is called projects in controlled environments. Agile assumes that they can't be controlled. Which one's going to work for you? Clarence Johnson, known as Callie, ran a program called Skunkworks. And you've probably heard the term Skunkworks. You may not know where it came from. He was a project manager for a defense contractor in the US. And his projects, he ran this little group that developed, amongst other things, the U-2 spy plane. And the U-2 spy plane was famous because it was shot down over Russia with Gary Powers as the pilot. And it used to fly at very high altitudes taking photographs. I guess today we use satellites for that. Johnson completed that project under budget, ahead of time, and he delivered 2 planes, not 1. And he came up with 14 rules of project management. The project manager must be delegated practically complete control of his program in all aspects, and he should report to a division president or higher. Excuse the male language, this was written in the 50s. Strong but small project officers must be provided both by the supplier and the company. The number of people having any connection with the project must be restricted in an almost vicious manner. So small projects, again, the same principle as Agile. A very simple document requirements management system must be provided. There must be a minimum number of reports. There must be a very close control of costs. The project manager must be delegated and must assume more than normal responsibility to get good vendor bids for subcontract on the project. And I have to say, this is one of the things in IT-related projects. The project manager doesn't often have enough authority over the vendor. And this is an issue that I think is still not resolved. You can see that these are very practical rules of management. For what it's worth, Kelly Johnson had an unwritten Rule 15 which said never work with the Navy. But these are 14 principles which still stand the test of time. We're going to look at methods next. So please review what we've covered, and I'll see you on the next video.